All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Port Hueneme Water Agency regular meeting. Today is February 21st, and the time is currently 4 p.m. Madam Clerk, could you please do roll for us today?
Member Bouchard?
Here.
Member McQueen-Lejean?
Here.
Member Perez?
Here.
Vice Chair Hernandez?
Here.
Chair Debley?
Here.
And ex officio Member Jacobson is absent.
Great, thank you. For public comment, we will now hear any general public comments not pertaining to items on the agenda for today. Zoom participants, please use the raise hand feature so we can call on you. You'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. This will be the same process for comments pertaining to each agenda item as well. Madam Clerk, does anyone have any public comments for tonight?
No public comments.
Great, thank you. Moving on to the agenda approval. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for tonight?
Move to approve.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Can we please have a vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
All right, so each year we go through this process in February of doing the election for the Port Hueneme Water Agency. Madam Clerk, could we please conduct the nomination for the chair?
The floor is now open for nominations.
I believe it would be customary for us to appoint one of the Port Hueneme City Council members to the chair position for this year. And is there a member of the Port Hueneme City Council that would like to serve as chair?
I'll move to appoint Laura Hernandez.
Second.
Could we please have a vote on that?
I'll do a roll call vote. So Member Bouchard?
Aye.
Member Perez?
Yes.
Member McQueen-Lejean?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez?
I accept. Yes.
And Chair Debley?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Congratulations, Chair Hernandez. You may now do the next.
Okay, so I'll now open the floor for nominations for vice chair. Do I have any nominations for vice chair? Anybody willing to? And I don't know if we have to select somebody from either the water agency or community services piece.
I believe it's customary that we alternate that seat. And so with that being said, I would nominate Director Debley as vice chair for the PHWA board. Get in before you.
Second.
Can't get away. I'll second that.
Okay.
May I have a roll call vote?
Member Bouchard?
Aye.
Member Perez?
Yes.
Member McQueen-Lejean?
Yes.
Vice Chair Debley?
Yes, I will graciously accept that position.
And
Thank you.
Chair Hernandez?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Congratulations.
now we're musical chairs.
Do we want to move name tags or just,
I'll put them for you.
we'll just rotate tags? How about that?
Okay, that's
Since we're-
fine. And then I'll take, I'll take the gavel.
There you go.
Is there a little pad thing? You just found on it. Much easier, thank you. Okay, we'll now consider items on the consent agenda, which will be enacted in one motion unless an agency member has a request to remove any item for discussion. May I have a motion and a second to approve our consent agenda?
I would so move.
Second.
And clerk, may we have a roll call vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
We have no public hearing items, which brings us to our business items. Item number 3, Port Hueneme Water Agency monthly operational report. Will staff please present the report?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, Board. This report presents an update on the operational status of the Brackish Water Reclamation Demonstration Facility for the month of January 2023. So due to United Water Conservation District running their deep wells, this resulted in high silt density index measurements, and therefore the membrane production was off from January 1 to January 9, and the plant ran in bypass production mode during this period. PHWA demand was 2.31 million gallons per day on average, and it was down from the the previous month and significantly down from a year ago in January, where it was down close to 1 million gallons per day less. I think this was because we had a lot of rain in January, and then also conservation efforts that are happening. The SDI levels for January 2023 range between 0.4 and 4.6, allowing the plant to run in membrane production mode for 22 days of the month, and the SDI average was 1.4. Of the total demand for the month, United supplied approximately 88.4%, and Kaigas supplying the remaining 11.6. PHWA's water continues to meet all state and federal regulatory standards. And then now, if I could, I'd like to kind of report out on a couple questions that the board had asked at the last few meetings. The first one being water year versus calendar year. So United Water is now going to track OH customer usage on a water year basis, and this is until they formally update the OH agreement contract. So United Water is responding to the new Fox County Groundwater Management Agency requirements, even though the contract language is now dated. And the second question was allocation carryover. So any unpumped OH suballocation is now carried over to the following year where it has to be used first. So while this process eliminates the potential for multi-year carryover and therefore simplifies calculations and means that we will rarely or ever use our full allocation. And as noted in Article 8 of the Fox Canyon Groundwater Management Agency Allocation Ordinance, the maximum allowable carryover is 50% of our yearly allocation. And United Water will track this carryover for the OH parties. So now I'll kind of update the allocation update for the water year. So like I said, United Water is operating on a water year basis. So going forward, I will report out on water year. So kind of where we're at right now. Our total allocation is 3,901 acre feet per year. And currently we carried over 654 acre feet from water year 21-22. So for our current water year, our total allocation would be 4,552 acre feet. So as of January 31, we are approximately 1/3 through the water year and have used about 23% of our allocation. And we're kind of on track for normal usage. With the warmer months approaching, the demand will start to climb. And then on the state water side, Kaigas, they report on a calendar year basis, so no change there. So our yearly allocation there is 1,480 acre feet per year. And again, we use very little in the month of January, just 2% of our allocation. And that wraps up my report. If there's any questions, be happy to answer them.
Any members have any questions with regards to his comments and the monthly operational report? Yes, Councilmember Phwa.
I just wanted to acknowledge and thank staff for the response to the questions and the information, so that it really helps us kind of understand where we're at with it. And I'd appreciate if this became part of some of the routine stuff that you deliver in the monthly report, that we add this in there where we're at in terms of calendar year accounting for calendar year or water year accounting, because I think that's most important for us, is to understand where we're at in the water year because of the potential fines related to groundwater over pumping if that occurs. So how we can understand what the financial impacts of that and whether or not we increase use of state water or Kaigas water versus groundwater. So again, I just thank you guys very much for the quick response and getting this information back to us. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes. Member,
Yeah, just one question. I'm fairly new, so can you explain to me what the water year is versus, I know it's calendar year, but what is the water year?
So water year is from October 1 to September 30.
Vice Chair Devlin.
Yes, Mr. Martinez, I'm just curious, as far as current shortages and any updated information from the state in regards to snowpack, where we're going for this upcoming calendar year. I know that, we're currently in a stage 2, right? Level 2 drought, but I'm just curious if there's been any updates from the state on, our current water storage capacity, as well as what the projections are for this year.
All right. As we all know, the snowpack is looking really good right now. There hasn't been any changes from the state that I'm aware of at this point, but I could see that possibly coming in the near future. I think, you might hear that we are out of the drought on the surface water side. But when it comes to groundwater, it's kind of a delay. So I wouldn't say we're out of the drought yet, even though a lot of the lakes are full at this point. So, but from the state, no changes as far as drought right now.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Yes, Member Bouchard.
Maybe just as a report on that a little bit, United Water Conservation District, I believe, has made a release of roughly 300,000 acre feet of water from Castaic down into Lake Piru, of which they're currently releasing based on environmental regulations. The anticipated, I just learned of this last week, but they're anticipating about 35,000 acre feet of that water making its way down to the Oxnard Pleasant Valley basins, which will be used both for direct surface delivery to those customers that can take it and for recharge out at the Phwa Bay area. So that's positive as a result of these rain events. And anecdotally, they anticipate that there will be the availability of additional Article 21 water that may be able to be purchased to recharge that water we had stored in the Castaic Lake that they released during this period. So, but that's all fairly new and wasn't broadly published. But as Pleasant Valley County Water District General Manager, we take that surface water, so they were making us aware of its availability.
Okay. If there are no more questions, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Thank you. And I think we've heard all the comments. So if no one has anything else, this is a recommendation to receive and file the PHWA monthly operational report. May I have a motion and a second?
Move to approve.
Second.
Clerk, will you take a vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Chair. So it's recommended that the Port Hueneme Water Agency Board authorize the Executive Director to execute the professional services agreement an amount not to exceed $19,931 with MCAN and Associates to facilitate a strategic planning workshop for the Brackish Water Reclamation Demonstration Facility Water Treatment Plant. So just a little background. On October 21, 2019, the PHWA Board approved the treatment plant facility master plan, and that was presented by Gannett Fleming. The scope of the FMP included a condition assessment of the treatment plant, which resulted in a list of recommended capital improvement projects to be completed over the next 5 years. So the total estimated cost to complete these projects in 2019 was $2,431,000. On November 22nd, 2021, the California Department of Water Resources approved the groundwater sustainability plan for Oxnard and Pleasant Valley basins submitted by the Fox Canyon Groundwater Management Agency. The GSP specifies measures to ensure that basins operate within a sustainable yield. And as part of this process, groundwater pumping allocations are anticipated to be reduced as a basin must meet sustainable yield by the year 2040. In addition, imported water from Cayugas faces continuing rate increases and potential unreliability related to ongoing issues with the source supply from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta. Prior to investing in the capital improvement projects identified in the Gannett Fleming Facility Master Plan Report, the PHW Board has asked to engage in strategic planning workshop to help guide future policy decisions of the board. The goal of the workshop is to inform and engage the PHW Board with regards to the future of PHWA, and feedback from the board will be used to establish policy related to future improvements at the treatment plant. So the scope of this proposal is to provide a summary of the history of PHWA and to identify constraints and challenges of current agreements, such as a three-party agreement with Cayugas, City of Oxnard, and PHWA, the land lease agreement with PHWA and the City of Oxnard, and the Oxnard-Hueneme Pipeline Agreement between United Water, City of Oxnard, and PHWA. Additionally, water supply and quality will be addressed along with opportunities for modification of the current PHWA operation for board consideration. The proposed strategic planning workshop will be facilitated by MKN Principal Ryan Gallagher, who has provided engineering and planning services for PHWA and Channel Islands Beach District for over a decade. Mr. Gallagher served as a project manager for both the 2019 Treatment Facility Master Plan and the 2021 CIBCSD Water and Sewer Master Plan. His experience also includes multiple regional planning and design projects in Ventura County, and Mr. Gallagher is uniquely qualified to facilitate this planning activity due to his past involvement with the facility, and other proposals were not solicited. And the funds for this PSA with MKN Associates will be from the PHWA budget contract services. And I believe Mr. Ryan Gallagher is zooming in, so if there's any questions on the proposal, he would be happy to answer them.
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, for some reason, I think that was the chair's mic doesn't seem to be picking up.
Okay. Try this one. Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. I can hear you loud and clear.
Never had a problem getting heard. Got a big mouth. Yeah, I just wanted to know what your background is in with regards to strategic planning. I heard experience with our facilities, but what's your background in strategic planning, and what it will be your approach?
Okay, so background in strategic planning. I've done a number of master plans, not just the items that were listed here. So I've probably done half a dozen, and that includes several within Ventura County. I've got a couple now going in Orange County as well. And so that gives me the background of understanding kind of bigger picture planning with regards to infrastructure, water supply, distribution. I've also done rate studies. You heard a number of the regional agreements, including some in Ventura County. And so understanding how to bring players together, see the big picture, and try to come up with a plan forward. I think that's mainly the item that we need to come out of this is we need to get consensus on how to move forward. With regards to strategic planning, I can reference, actually, I've done a couple for PHWA's member agencies. So back in 2015 and 16, I did one for the Channel Islands Board. And really what that started with was sort of a ground up. What are the values? What are we looking to do? Understanding what was important to that board at that time. And what came out of that was a consensus of independence, higher water quality, innovation, looking for ways to be more cost efficient. So that sort of set the platform. And then we looked at, what do we want out of PHWA? And that was for the Channel Islands Board. So we had done that back in 2015. It was a really successful document. And that was sort of the impetus then that caused Steve Hickox at the time with City of Port Hueneme to bring me in and do a similar process for the Port Hueneme Council. Not sure if anyone there is still on the council, but we went through a similar process, and it was really helpful. The results of that actually came out very similar to what we found at the Channel Islands Board. And it was a similar process where I came in and presented information about the agency. And for this one, it was PHWA. So talking about the background, what the intent is, what are the constraints, what are the opportunities, and then presented a discussion on values. And the reason for that is to try to identify what do we actually want from PHWA, and in particular, the Brackish Water Reclamation Demonstration Facility, which is really the heart of the overall program. And so those two documents led us to the 2019 master plan. And that was a great document. It really laid the path forward, but nothing really happened with that. And so I think where we are today is we're looking at getting this group back together and going through a similar process. I don't think we need to talk as much about values. What I would plan to do here is we had done a water model as part of the 2019 master plan. This isn't a hydraulic model. This was a water supply model, and it took into account costs, because what we want to do is set up a platform so that we could look at alternatives such as, do we do away with the Brackish water facility and just do a blending station? And that's going to be a helpful tool. I think that will be a key component of what we're going to talk about. So what we'll do as part of this process is I'm going to do a lot of upfront work, do some of this analysis, and then come to you with a lot of this information so that we can talk through it and look at what are the ramifications and constraints related to these different alternatives. And so I gave you a long-winded answer. I like to talk as much as you do. So basically, the goal is to come in with a lot of information so that I can start with building the foundation, realizing that some of you might be new to this board or not have as much experience as others. So really build that foundation, but also to create, I think this will be a really helpful tool for new board members in the future. There isn't a current document where a lot of this information resides. So I think this presentation could serve as that platform. So we'll go through and do some education, and then I'll start to present some of the analysis, both from the water supply and just the review of some of the discussions that have been going on today, and kind of lay out what the opportunities and alternatives are for the PHWA Brackish Water Facility. And then that's where we'd start to engage in discussion, and I could walk you through some of the sort of the pros and cons of some of these different ideas that are floating around. I think the intent of this whole process was really making a decision on where we want to go in the future, because that is critical to be able to make decisions today.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Member Burchard?
Yeah, I think they're mainly comments or questions. One's a comment, and that's that when I look through the scope of work and what we're going to analyze, and I know that you're uniquely familiar, but one thing that, while it's not laid out in there, I want to make sure, as you guys do, because I see there's a lot of upfront staff work and evaluation to come up with it, is the impending bringing online of the iron and manganese facility at United, how that will affect our overall water availability with losses that may occur at that treatment facility and then ours, ensuring that that's part of the overall calculation of water. The other, just an observation, and I note that within the contract, the executive officer has the ability to issue up to $15,000 in continuing work, but the majority of the effort in this contract is laid out with staff time. And you made some key points that resounded with me when I read over what was there. I think we're going to need more than 2 hours as a board. We have some new board members. There's going to be a lot of information. So I don't know within the current scope or level of effort that we have enough time for the board to really absorb what it is you're going to bring back, which is a long history, a lot of technical analysis for us to make those decisions. So I just think that we would all want to be prepared for more than a single 2-hour workshop on this before we get somewhere that we're comfortable. And I just leave that as a comment, at least from this director's anticipation, that we would need more than 2 hours to really get into some of the details of this and get to a place that we're all comfortable and educated enough as what the hopeful outcome of this process. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Do we have any public comments on this item?
No public comments.
Anything else from our members or staff? All right. Well, with that, I'll take a motion and a second on this.
Move to approve staff's recommendation.
Second.
Madam Clerk, will you take the vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. We look forward to working with you. Okay, we're now at agency member reports, comments, and requests for future agenda items. I'd like to remind agency members that all requested items will require a motion, a second, and a majority vote to be placed on the future agenda. Does anyone have any reports, comments, or requests for future agenda items? Yes, Member Bouchard.
Is it appropriate to just make a general comment at this time if I don't have an agenda item?
Sure, they've wrapped it all
Okay.
together in one item.
I just wanted to clarify on my report earlier regarding United that I misspoke on some numbers. I think I said 300,000 acre feet. That's a lot of water, and that's not what's coming. I believe it's 30,000 or somewhere close to 30,000 being released from Castaic, which they anticipate a large portion of that, because the other basins upstream will be filled, will make its way down to our basin. So I wanted to clarify and correct my earlier statement and numbers. So I was a little far off.
Okay, I had visions of the 2005 flood when they released water and we lost part of the airport in Santa Paula, and yeah, it affected the communities downstream. So I'm glad you clarified that. Thank you. Any other comments or comments or agenda items from members? I just want, did you go ahead?
Just real quick, one of the things that we had requested prior to COVID was a tour of the facility. And then that kind of never happened because of COVID. So if I could put that back, especially with, new members, that we need to familiarize ourselves with what we're talking about. So if Mr. Martinez could set up a field trip for the members, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Yeah, anytime we can schedule that. Anytime. Be happy to bring you guys out.
We just offered that service for the city council members, and so they're well prepped for giving you a wonderful tour. And I want to thank you both for spending a couple hours with myself and Mayor Martinez last week. It was a great tour. It makes a huge difference when we're making decisions up here on water facilities and budgetary allocations, to know where these facilities are, what they are, and how they're performing for us, and then also future projects. So it was a great tour. I really appreciated the time and the information. So thank you both for that.
Yes, I'll ditto that as well. And I was not aware. I found out where our wells were. That was that was a surprise. But thank you for the information. And I'm learning all this, so it's a lot to absorb. And when you have no idea what it is you're learning, it's great to put your eyes to what you're actually making decisions on. So that helps a lot. So thank you.
I'm not really sure what comes after ditto, but thank you for the tour. I really appreciate it and the time that you all spent with us, and just learned an awful lot. So I do appreciate the two of you, and please tell the other two gentlemen as well that I appreciate this time.
Thank you.
All right, with that, there is no more business. I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. The time is 4:29. And we'll meet again on March 6th, 2023 at 4 p.m. at this location. Thank you, everybody.